on the stage. I think these are truly rare occasions when you get somebody like Shri K.M. Birla ji to spare some time from his extremely tight schedule. And we are truly honored and thankful to you. To start with, I'll request President to kindly formally welcome our chief guest for the evening. And let me also mention that our joy has multiplied because the chamber was founded by his great-grandfather, Shri G.D. Birla ji. And I don't think any other guest or chief guest would fit on this occasion when ICC has just completed 100 years of existence. With this, I invite President to please start the session with his opening address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the centenary celebration of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. We are fortunate to have our chief guest today is the great grandson and the founding member of our great chamber, late Shri Ghanshyam Das Birla ji. Let's welcome Padma Bhushan Shri Kumar Mangalam Birla ji. At the time of British Chamber of Commerce 100 years before, Mahatma Gandhi ji has requested Ghanshyam Das Birla ji to start an Indian chamber. That was a time when this chamber was started. So it has a very different history, unlike other chambers. The journey of Indian chamber commenced 100 years before, and which is an immense pride for all of us. The Birla family not only contributed to the business from day one, it also performed in many other activities, social activities, building world-class hospital. And we all know, Calcutta, all the world-class hospital is the gift of the Birla family. The best institution in Calcutta and so many in the country is the gift of the Birla family. And so many other culturals, auditorium, Indian platform, I'm myself the alumna of Birla High School. Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla represent a unique case study in the transformation leadership, taking over the Aditya Vikram Birla Group at the age of 28 after his father's sudden passing away and building up a 2 billion enterprise to a 70 billion global powerhouse operating 42 countries and in 30 years. When he began this journey in October 95, it was not a planned succession. It was sudden and unplanned. Mr. Birla described his early year as a fishbowl experience, where every decision was observed by the senior people almost double of his age. Mr. Birla's primarily challenge was not only just managing the business, but establishing, gaining the credibility in the environment where he has to deal with the seniors who are double of his age and so many vast experience. But he earned the great respect as a seasoned industrialist. In an episode of Kaun Banega Crorepati, Mr. Birla admitted the fear and pressure that came from responsibility. He emphasized that meaningful achievement require time and steady effort. Mr. Birla, you may be happy to note that you are the hero of many business leaders. Even I am one of them. The top lessons such as The work environment is very important in determining how enjoyable work is. It is very important to work with a smart guy who has a superior level of intellectual bandwidth and still have a soft skill. The one important factor keeps me going is a kind of people I work with, is what you believe in. You believe in responsible capitalism, a philosophy where wealth creation is balanced with the well being of the communities it serves. The one, two, three rules of the business. The organization must be within the top three performer in any business in which it competes. Getting out of business at a right time is a strategy, not the failure. Risk must be well calculated. What we want lie on the other side of fear is what you believe in. Internal flexibility is the only defense against U3 world, uncertain, unpredictable, and unorthodox. You believe that in next 20 years, the ESG is a very important spine for any big organization. And the kind of focus the group is doing on the ESG, we understand the value of any good uh, industry and organization will be very much dependent on the ESG program. Finally, culture scaling is harder than revenue scaling. To quote you, if living by our own values, perhaps grow at a pace lower than we would otherwise have liked to be. For us, leader lies at the heart of knowing what we stand for. This principal approach has earned trust from employees, regulators, and investors that cannot be bought. On behalf of the audience and all of us at Indian Chamber of Commerce, we are keen to receive your guidance about the role of chambers could play over next 10 years to support the growth, development of business, economy, our country. Personally, I also request you to speak about two aspects about your journey and life which has inspired always. One, your leadership journey has its share up and down. How do you navigate it so successfully and yet remain so humble? And how do you manage your work life balance while managing such a huge business empire and that too without any controversy? Ladies and gentlemen, let us hear a big round of applause for Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla. Thank you.
Mr. Birla, I'm sure you can sense the excitement in this room, but I think more than that, huge respect which the community has for you and your family for the wonderful work which President just mentioned, that every corner of the city we see some sign of the great work, the service which has been done by your family. Uh, we will straight away jump into the interaction. May I invite Mr. Bhajanka to please join us on the stage. And the session will be jointly moderated by Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Bhajanka. And we are all excited to learn from and also gain some insights. And we also thought that we will not have any media in the room because we wanted to have very free-flowing and a frank discussion. Thank you. Over to you.
Mr. Birla, the first question is on the title of Succession, Early Leadership and Defining Moments. In your formative year, you wanted to pursue an MBA directly. However, your father insisted that you should do a CA. Was absolutely non-negotiable. You also tried to convince your grandpa, and he also insisted you to do a CA. But later on, after the CA, you also did an MBA. So we would love to know, about this ideas and today at the level where you are, how that decision really had an impact And what is your say on this decision? Thank you.
So, let me say that my children are now, my oldest daughter is 30, my son is 28, my younger girl is 23. So up until a few years ago, they were deciding, not a few years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago, they were toying with different options as to what they want to do in terms of career. And the only thing I said is that you can do what you like, but you cannot become a CA. Because they were also very surprised. Because it just takes away the spark from the years of your life when everyone's having a really good time. It douses your spirit to that extent. Everyone's partying, having a good time. You're studying, or at least you're supposed to be studying. Even if you're not studying, you're thinking about, I should be studying. I had some very accommodative friends who would, adjust their programs so that I could be included. Um, but yes, it was very treacherous. Any CA here would vouch for that. But I think I'm really grateful to my father because as things happened, I think my CA qualification, what I learned there, was really invaluable. If it wasn't for that, then I think I would have been in a bigger soup. So, I think that listening to your parents is something that we should all do.
Wonderful. Like, since you have done the CA, and CA means, you are doing a deep diving on the accounting processes and all, And so is it really helping in your present business? Do you go still like
Absolutely.
deeper or like, oh,
No, I mean, in a sense, it depends. The businesses that we have grown over the years, I think I know fairly well. But I think fluency with numbers is a big advantage for a leader, where you don't depend on someone else. You can read numbers and you can see numbers and tell a story. Your dependency on anyone for anything, numbers are in many ways, the lifeline of a business. So I think your confidence is immensely sort of boosted by the fact that you can see the balance sheet, you can see a P&L, and maybe even without knowing the business, you can tell the health of a business. You can more or less say where margin should go up, cash flow can go up. So I think number fluency is something that is a great advantage, and I'm always grateful that I went through that rigor of doing my CA.
so after so many years in today's time, like my son, he's also planning to go for a undergrad. So I told him, why don't you do a CA and then go to for your undergrads and all, for the masters. So what is your advice? Like in today's time, we should follow the same, or we
I think you
should let
should
him
let
do
him do
what he
whatever he wants to do.
wants to do? Okay.
And CA, they have revised the syllabus quite a lot. They made it more practical. They have reduced the rigor. When I gave it the pass percent, there are lots of CAs here, I'm sure, was 2%. Now I think it's 12, 13%. So the chance of getting out once you get in are much better. So I think it depends on each individual child. It depends on what they want to pursue as what they like to do. I think it's very important that young people have complete stake in what they want to do in the future, and even if that makes them making mistakes, I think you should let them. Not for your son, but for anyone. Um, it's important that they take a call on what they want to do in their lives.
But yeah, I think
Now my
Bhushan Bhaiya's son, Shubham is sitting there thanking you right now with all his heart. But to go back, you were 28 years of age when you assumed leadership of one of the largest groups in the country, and you inherited a legacy where it has been shaped for decades under your father, highly successful legacy. So, what were those early days when you walked into the boardroom? There was a seasoned team that was already there. You have to make structural changes. You have to sort of establish your own leadership identity at the same time. How was that period for you?
So that, as you can imagine, was very tough because so number of things were happening together at the same time. For me, my father had passed away. He was someone who people in the organization really looked up to with a lot of regard, with a lot of affection. He was, like a brother or a son or whatever it is to different people. So there was an emotional connect that people had with him. But at the same time, the external world was changing a lot at the same time. So we were in the throes of liberalization. Um, you had foreign competition right in your backyard, which wasn't there earlier. Up until then, India was a very insulated market for those of you. I'm sure a lot of people here remember that. And we had suddenly opened the doors, the government had, to foreign competition. So the competence it required to succeed was very different from what it had required up until then. The investor profile had changed. You had FIIs coming in. Their demands, their asks were very different. Um, so I think everything coming together was a huge change. If it was just one factor, it would have been far less complex. But I think that sometimes the formula for success changes, and what worked in the past won't work in the future. And that's the kind of situation that I found myself in. I was also very young. I was involved with only a part of the organization before my father passed away. So a lot of it was very new to me. Most people in the organization, barring a few, didn't know me. I was also of a different mindset. I had studied abroad on my MBA abroad, and each person is shaped by their own influences, and influences are different for each person. And after a while, I believe that we require different kinds of skill sets to succeed in the future. But success is something that can also become a barrier. And I don't think people were able to understand why we need to change. We've been very successful. We were very successful even then. And I don't think that I had the communication skills that I should have had. Maybe because I was very young, because a lot of these people I had seen when I was growing up. I was also, forming my own thoughts. I don't think I was able to clearly articulate, in retrospect, as clearly as I could have. Even if I had, I don't think there was a mindset of people saying that, okay, if you're in a crisis, it's much easier to change because then there's maybe an existential crisis. But if you're doing well and you have done well, then to ask people to change becomes a huge challenge. I also brought in a lot of change, and I think whilst it was all for the right reasons, from my perspective, I think that people couldn't understand. They missed my father. He had a very personal connect with people. So the first day that I went to work, my father, in the very first meeting, he was very angry with someone. I can't remember. And he was shouting at him. And I've never seen a grown-up man knees actually knock. His knees were knocking. He had files in his hand. It just fell off his hand. So I went back to my room and I called up my friend and I said, I'm on an elephant now and I can't get off it. So he said, why don't you just hang in there? See how it goes. It's your first day at work. But I saw something about him that I'd never seen before. But it was very strange because by the evening when I was about to leave and go home, I was passing by his room and I saw that he and the person who he was firing in the morning were sitting together and they were having tea and talking to each other as if one would think that they're very long lost friends. So he had that kind of personal connect that I didn't have, partly because I didn't know these people, they didn't know me. I was much younger. He also was very charismatic, and charisma is something that you can't define. You see someone and you feel that they're charismatic. Like, let's say I know my Bhua is charismatic, and I know that I can't be like that because I have maybe other sort of strengths. So there were lots of him, lots of that they missed. It was like an organization in morning. Uh, I was very young, obviously, but they were very supportive to the extent that they could be. But they genuinely had some issues about change. So, for example, I asked a foreign faculty member to come and have a session with us on strategy because Indian business didn't need to strategize earlier. You got a license, you put up a plant. The focus was on running the plant, milk the asset and make the money. And at the end of that 3 4 years, 3 4 hour session, I remember one of the senior most uh, people getting up and say, "So I think the best strategy is not to have a strategy." And I was like, but he genuinely believed that. So there was a major mind shift that was required. I wanted a different kind of people coming into the organization. Uh, I didn't like the fact that if you're a relative of someone in the company, you just come in by default. That didn't work for me. I was not of that mindset. The wrong kind of people, landed up coming in. I remember that we got this policy. I brought in this policy of if you're a near relation, there has to be a process by which you come into the organization. Otherwise, if you're a son, grandson, job was guaranteed. So we said, because it was a very big issue. It sounds very strange now, but it was a very big issue for me back then, because what we were trying to create, or I was trying to create, was a very meritocratic organization. So we did that, and I remember one senior person coming and being very angry with me. And this happened a few times. He said, my younger son, you've ruined his future. I literally said that. So I said, what did I do? So he said, my plan was to get him into the company. And now you have this new policy and, he can't join. So I started talking to him. I realized that he has two sons. This is why it sounds a little funny, but it's not. So he had one son who was like a star, IIM, IIT. उनको उन्होंने फॉरेन बैंक में भेज दिया. And there was this son जो graduate थे, just about, and he wanted to get him into our organization. So I said to him, your son who's an IIT IIM, I'm very happy to take him in. But this only graduation thing won't work because he won't be able to cope now inside our organization. So many conversations like this, I think it was very difficult for people. It was very difficult for me. But, about a year, 2 years, things started to settle down. So that's a process of churn that we would have had to go through.
So, Mr. Birla, this is a problem with every new generation who comes today, because we have so many companies, families where, the member of the extended family, they had been the part of the founder, cultivated the company. And after 15, 20 years, they become, with the time, they become obsolete, or, the process changes. And for the growth of the company, you want, the new generation, the new stars to also be the part. But balancing, like, how do you balance that time? Like, you had so many challenges, it was not one, like some relative or somebody, the founder, or maybe the brain behind the new businesses and all. And you did it so methodically, like everything went very smooth. The professional system came, but how did you manage this, the equation, whether they were in the system or like what kind of a role and responsibility they were in, and how did you manage? Because this is a very regular thing, in each and every organization which grow at from a level to the other level. And these kind of a challenges, the thought process of the next generations and the new generation is always there. So उसको आपने किया कैसे कि उनके रेस्पेक्ट को, रिलेशन को, बिजनेस को कैसे आपने इसको बैलेंस करके हम इसको मैनेज किए? But this is a very common issue.
So I'll just give you a background. My older daughter, her name is Ananya. 10 years back when we were talking, Ananya wanted to become a singer. My son Ariman wanted to become a cricketer. So, I mean, obviously, my wife is more liberal. I'm also liberal, but I was quite taken aback because this was something that I had not expected. I had thought that they will go to an undergrad, BBA kind of for an education like that, and then perhaps do an MBA and join work. But they had very different passions, and so I thought about it very long and hard. And I thought that if those passions help them to develop their own identities and get an identity of their own. When I joined the business, even when my father was there, I was the promoter, the owner's son. I was a pygmy over there, and it was very difficult, even when he was there, to make my presence felt. So I thought that, if these kids do a good job, and or if they don't, then they learn from their own failures. But why deprive them of following their passion? And, with God's grace, they had also the leeway where they could do it. Also, I said to them that, if you're a singer, if you're performing on stage, or if you're cricketer, you're playing on the pitch, there's no way that mom and I can help you. And I think that's what really kind of they wanted to do. They wanted to prove their own identity. Both did very well. My son played for, when he left cricket, he was captaining Ranji for, I think, Madhya Pradesh. He started off by serving drinks to the players in the dressing room, and every day was a new day, because the day you played well, you got to play the next day. Otherwise, you were back, on the wings. My daughter, she has become quite known as a singer. She has a fan base of her own. She was in Oxford. She was on the dean's list, doing very well. But a year after that, after being in Oxford, she told me that, Dad, I'm not having a good time. You have to study by yourself. There's a lot of self-study. And, I'm not motivated. I'm spending a lot of my time playing the guitar and singing in the local gyms. So, and I'm very sure I want to start a microfinance business. I didn't know what microfinance was then, 12 years ago. So I said, where did this thought come from? I still don't know how she got that thought. But she said, I'm very clear that that's what I want to do. And this is really a waste of time for me. So we said, that's fine. She started her own microfinance business called Swatantra at 18. And in 12 years, it's become the second largest in the country. She's going to list this year. So they both have had their own journeys. My son, after playing cricket, came and worked for me for 4 years. He came back last year after doing a 2-year full-time MBA at Harvard. I find that both these alternate careers have really shaped their personality. For example, in my son, I see a lot of discipline. I could be sitting in a meeting and looking at the mobile at times. He'll never do that. He'll be bang on time for a meeting. My daughter, since she's been an entrepreneur of her own, has, the advantages of having been successful about how to deal with people, situations. So my son, of course, worked for me for 4 years. Even before he went, he now is completely immersed. I've been able to convince my daughter, and she's happy to do that now, that besides running your own business, you should also be a part of the group. I think she's at a point where she thinks she's achieved what she wanted to, or she's far down that road with microfinance, and this is a good time for her to also contribute and be a part of the group. She is also launching her own new businesses in cosmetics. She's launched Birla Studios. That's going to be in making movies. My son by himself is also in the F&B business. Recently tied up with Joe and the Juice to come to India. So they have their own set of businesses, because I think those they're passionate about. And I wanted them to do things that they're also passionate about. They don't have to just come and start doing businesses that the group has been in. I think that, I had made a lot of change when I came in. 5 years after I came in, everything had changed practically, except for the basic value system, which I think we hold true even today. So I was wondering what these kids will do, because, now it's time to be on the other side. But I think that our organization, because the external world hasn't changed as much as it had when I was coming in. We're a contemporary organization, meritocratic. Uh, so I don't think that they are finding the need to change. They want their own teams, which they are recruiting. Whatever tweaks they want to do in processes, systems, are not very earth-shattering like I did. And for the businesses that they're involved with, they have a free hand to do that. They have their own way of equating with their teams, of building teams, because both their personalities are different, their styles are different. And I think it's very good to see that as long as they're working hard, they have a great work ethic. That's what matters most.
No, wonderful.
So I don't think that we've had any kind of friction with God's grace. I have my younger daughter who's going to join in July, and she's a different kettle of fish. So I have to see. But they keep telling me that, Papa, to induct two of us in business must be very hard for you. But actually, it's not, because I think they're very aligned. They understand and align with the business. They have a point of view which we discuss and change the vision if it needs be. And they are really playing the role of very active members of a team. Uh, so yes, I'm very relieved and happy.
No, wonderful. I think a lot of parents are struggling with this kind of thoughts and all, and your value, what you shared, is going to really reduce the bridge and will create more clarity. बहुत अच्छा है.
Um,
Mr. Birla, growing the growth from 33x in revenue and 56x in market cap requires the leader to evolve faster than the balance sheet. Your role has shifted from the operational oversight to the strategic across 6 continents. All. How has your daily routine evolved from being a hands-on chairman to a global leader? How did you consciously have to stop those order to scale yourself as a leader? Like so many countries, so many industries, so many segments, and one chairman. How do you handle, from X to 100x? I'm also running a business, and it is very easy when you grow in one business 10x, 100x. But if you are multiplying from one business to 100 businesses, where the boss is one, how do you handle your eco balance, your lifestyle, and your business strategy? Thank you.
So when I had come to work, I think if for people of my vintage, will probably remember that at that time, investors had this obsession with what they call core competence. As in that if you're in textile, stay only in textile. If you're in whatever, let's say cement, stay only in cement. I didn't agree with that point of view because India was growing and was going to grow and throw up many opportunities. And if we just stuck to the knitting, they used to say core competence, stick to the knitting, otherwise we don't want to invest in your company, which is fine. But investors are very fickle. They are in one day and out after 2 days, whilst we are growing our businesses for maybe the next few generations. So I'd taken a call even then, which was a contrarian call that we want to be in a conglomerate at a group level. But what I did do is that if we had metals in two businesses, Hindalco and one more, two companies, then I rearranged so that every legal entity, every company had the same set of businesses and it didn't duplicate. But we had taken a call even then that we will want to grow in different businesses. Personally, I found that more exciting. Also, I think it would capture the growth story of India as opposed to us getting isolated. So, having said that, since that's the underlying logic of going into several businesses over the years. And like you said, our underpinning assumption has been that we want to be number one, number two, and number three in a new business in the foreseeable future. So we either have the competence to do that, or we have a way to acquire the competence to do that. And we've had a very good success rate. In a couple of smaller businesses, we haven't been able to achieve that, and I've actually exited those businesses. But I think that the crux of the matter is about attracting talent and delegating, decentralizing. So I think that today what we have is a distributed, what I call a distributed model of leadership, where it's just not me, but we have leaders across the organization. They are, we are aligned in terms of vision, we are aligned in terms of our values. We have a set of values which we have as our basic anchor, whichever business you might be in. But cultures are different because you can't have someone in the financial business have the same culture as someone in the paints business. The demography is different, the kind of skills required are different. So if you're that ambitious like I was and have been and am, and want to grow in different businesses, the only way you can, and at that time I was the only one in the family in any case, the only way you can do that is to build teams and to induct people, with the right talent and who have the right kind of commitment and the capability to actually roll up their sleeves and be in the trenches and work. So I think that that's the part that we've been able to do well.
True. Thank you.
So, when you walked into the room today, this was not just someone who has earned a lot of money. This is someone who has earned a lot of respect. I think the respect for you, for your heritage, for your family, that plays out from this trusteeship philosophy that um, your grandfather, Mr. G.D. Birla, had instilled, and I think that has deeply influenced you as well. But today, like Bhaiya had mentioned in his speech, that you describe a U3 world, uncertain, unpredictable, unorthodox. So does this trusteeship shape your capital allocation decisions? Does it shape your big decisions, even in this uncertain world today?
Absolutely. I think trusteeship is a basic, it's an underlying philosophy. So, capital allocation, absolutely. I must have said 20, no, I may have said no 20 times to different business proposals or uh, new business proposals or proposals which I just didn't think fit in with our value system. If I had done those, maybe it would have grown a couple of percentage faster, even more than that. But we didn't want to take, a haircut on the values that we stand for. So I think trusteeship is basically a ethos or a sentiment that you hold a company, an asset, in a spirit of being a trustee for people, not just for the promoters, as opposed to brute capitalism, as they call it, where it's only for yourself and your family. So that's an underlying philosophy that holds true in any business context, whether the business is doing well, not doing well, whether your market cap has gone up, gone down. That's something that, is universal in that sense.
Mr. Birla, your acquisition of Novelis, first of all, I thank you. It was the pride for the country that from the Indian Aluminium Company, we became the world number one conglomerate. So, and that also was complete all the time, which was running, when we were having a lot of issues on the foreign transactions and lot of challenges was there running the industry overseas. But you have acquired and made the business world class. We want to learn from you the process you recommend to the present business people, who are looking for these kind of an acquisition. What are the line, the mantra you feel like, when we enter in any of these kind of international takeover and where the balance sheet size are bigger than the appetite? So how should we act, and what are the mantra we should be able to follow?
So Novelis was a very unusual case, and we can talk about it sometime. But I think today my response to your question of international M&A is very different from what it would be even 2 or 3 years back. So I think that given whatever is happening just now, so if you look at it, look at the kind of volatility that we have seen in the last couple of maybe months. Gold has peaked in terms of prices. Duties have first gone up to 50%, now they've come down to 18%. $3 trillion of uh, the value of software companies have been sold in the last 1 week across the world. At one time, American markets spoke about only software, only technology. Now they're talking about anything but technology, basically because of the fear of what AI can do. So I think with the kind of volatility that there exists today in the world, and it's more ferocious than it's ever been in the past. It's been, I would say that even the pace of change has changed because it's from all directions. It can come from a direction that you didn't anticipate at all and wasn't possible sometimes to anticipate. I think that this is the time to double down on India. I think just given the India growth story, all of us know it, 8 to 10%, 7 to 10% of annual growth for 2 decades in the future is a huge thing. We can talk about how, but in a way, we have our stars aligned as a country. Uh, For example, we have political continuity, political stability. We have regulators in place, like say SEBI. Without regulators, an economy can't grow for very long. So we have institutions in place. We have market in place. About 80% of our GDP growth, of say 80%, comes from internal consumption, internal manufacturing. So there's a great sense of a self-sufficiency. You have people, 1 billion young people in the workforce today, as opposed to European, maybe Japanese, Chinese economies, where aging has become a problem. So you really have a country where it's like many countries, many markets rolled into one. So I would think that the opportunity now is in India. I think you should go global only if say, for example, your customers require you to go global. We are investing in Alabama and North America, $5 billion in one location, which we've never done before, even in India. But that is because what we make there, aluminum foil for auto and for beverage cans, is something that we are already doing there, and our customers want more of that. Um, it's a business we've, through Novelis, been in now in 25 years. And you have a customer, you have demand that is known. There is no other substitute that can dislocate that demand. Therefore, we are growing where our customer wants us to grow. In carbon black, for example, we are in the process of setting up 3 plants: India, Thailand, Hungary. But that again is because we think global, but we need to be local, because in that business we've stayed close to where our customers are because of so many good things, inventory, responsiveness, time to respond. But if you're not global, then I think this is the wrong time to become global. I think you can be in India and run a business that is globally benchmarked in terms of market share, efficiencies, customer connect, all of that. So I think that this is really India's time and India's age. And I think that that's something that's recognized by people across the world. Um, so unless there's a compelling reason to go global, like for example, you have a technology that you have an IP on which no one can replicate, cost arbitrage is no longer a competitive advantage, or you're in a business where your customers need you to also have a presence, let's say somewhere in Europe, I don't think that one should go and invest overseas in a hurry today, just given the amount of flux that we're seeing around us.
Lovely suggestions.
So, at the risk of sounding a little repetitive, you're managing multi-front wars, whether it's the cement war, the paints war, you're entering into jewelry, B2B e-commerce. So this requires balancing capital, talent, time. How do you decide which business gets your personal attention? Is there a particular thought process that you put in place? And how do you allocate your time because of the amount of things you're doing?
I'm glad you didn't ask about work-life balance, because that is completely quite messed up, and I think it'll remain like that. I don't think there's anything like work-life balance. I think you're asking me about how I manage my time at work. So I think that the large businesses take up time, and that allocation to time for them is how it should be. New businesses, you're getting into a new business because you believe you can create immense value, so they take time. Um, Businesses that are in trouble, they take time, and that keeps shifting from over a period of time. Earlier, I used to, for example, if we were looking at financial services businesses, we would spend one whole day reviewing a business. Now I focus much more on deeper dives, or more on depth than breadth. So, for example, we could have a 2 hour, 1 hour meeting on, for example, in our mutual fund, we want to have more of passives. We don't have a passive fund that's doing as well as the others. So we would probably have a 1 hour meeting, 1.5 hour meeting on how to tackle that and make that into a growth area, as opposed to doing a sweeping review of the whole business. Or let's say in cement, we talk about what else we can do to dislodge the market leader, which is Asian. We've got 8% for share from them, and in 1 year, and we plan to get much more. So specific strategies towards that. I'm not getting into manufacturing and all of that because that's doing fine. So I think that now, from my point of view, it's more about deeper dives into specific issues uh, where um I believe, or we believe, value can get created. The businesses are actually quite independently run on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis with people who are very qualified. They're obviously uh, also very experienced, very committed. They have also grown in the roles. So many of us have now grown together. I always feel very proud of the fact that I have about 2,000 colleagues who've now been with me for 20 years. And they, I think, provide some kind of a stability. So they kind of provide I think, I don't have empirical proof, but I think they also provide stability to the organization as a whole. We move people around businesses. So if you ask anyone, they would say that they've been in at least 3 businesses of the group. So that also creates a bond across the group. So I'm not only sitting and doing paints, I've also, by the way, been in, let's say, cement. Um, and by the way, I've also been in fiber in different roles. And that has helped me grow as a leader. So when you have leaders with that kind of an experience, to delegate and decentralize uh, with a view to create headroom for yourself in terms of time becomes much easier. So I think our investment in people and talent is something that helps me to create time for myself. Capital depends on, we have our criteria, we want to meet, it's financial. Basically, we also want to be dominant. So we got into paint because reason to be, we are in cement, distribution to an extent is common. So we can start to distribute across the country pretty quickly. That's our reason to be. We want to be number 2 in 3 years. We are number 2. We are number 3 today after a year. So it bases some very specific criteria. I hope that answers your
That
question.
was beautiful. Just one small follow-up. So many different businesses, but the Birla culture remains the same. How do you do that? The Birla culture, that culture, the people when you meet
The
them,
culture
that
is not the same
ethos.
actually. So, and I don't even aim to have the same culture because let's say in financial services, it's a much younger demographic as opposed to say any other business, say chemicals, where it's more manufacturing focused. You have a part that's consumer focused, customer focused, but it's a different culture. The people who manufacture, engineers who live in a colony, who are on the shop floor, their mindset is very different. So it's not people who are in the jewelry business and they're rolling out 10 stores a quarter, I mean a month. They'll roll out 25, 22 stores in March. It's not possible for them to have the same culture as someone in cement or in financial services. So everyone's culture, every business has its own culture. We have a set of values which we articulate If you're new in the group, you will have an orientation about values. If you make a merger, new employees will have an orientation around values. We have 7 values. That gives like make an anchor. So, if say commitment is a value, commitment means very different things in our context versus say a Southeast Asian context versus a European context versus an American context. You know, so I think that we contextualize what we call our values, and that is the common running thread in terms of basics. Cultures also, you can't have the same culture in North America as you have in India or in Egypt. So it's not even something that I've tried to achieve.
Consistency of values. That is one thing that you see across the group or that you try to implement across the group. Consistency of values, the same values.
Yeah, consistency of values is something that everyone understands. Everyone knows, they relate with it. If you don't relate with it, then, more or less, without exception, someone who's not in sync with values will exit the organization. Either the organization will identify him as someone who doesn't fit in. In a rare case, they might decide to exit because they don't relate with it. So I think that commonality of values is something that all 280,000 people will know and practice.
So, Mr. Birla, one thing is like, you're the boss, chairman, and we were earlier very big in B2B, and now from B to C fashions and all, like what I understand, all the top leaders, they have their core team. And the psychology, the thought process of the team tier, one is always on the conventional thought. So how you eliminate and transform your thought of your team under you, like as a part of your decision strategy and all, in building these kind of new thoughts.
So every business is run by its own team. I'm the only common factor. Now my children, as and when they become more and more active. Otherwise, each team is completely independent. They don't have to worry about fashion retail doesn't worry about what cement is doing, but we have a lot of common platforms where they come together. For example, we have a development center in New Bombay, and about 7,000 people will go through that in the course of a year. So there is common learning, there's a common platform, and we teach real stuff. So if someone is going to become what we call in our parlance, a finance head going to become a P&L head. So I don't know what that would mean. Let's say for your business, agar koi technical head hai, he is becoming profit and loss head of, let's say, one region or one unit, one plant. Then they go through a certain training. It's designed by me with lots of inputs. It's called Chairman's Cutting Edge. Anyone who's going through that transition will go through that. So that there's a certain common level of understanding. So an engineer must, at a senior level, he must be able to read a balance sheet and profit and loss and cash flow and make sense of it. Not just be the best welder or fitter or whatever, be the best in uh, managing an aluminum rolled mill. That kind of completeness, that kind of, wholeness as a senior person, we would expect. So every business has its own team, their own culture, like I was saying. I was reviewing the fashion retail business. I was giving them a very hard time. And then when I was in a smaller group, my CEO said, you told us this. You didn't tell us we've grown 21% in EBITDA. Raised voice and finger at that. I don't think my CEO of cement would do that. Different generation, uh, different profile. So every culture is different and profile is different. And, people who are in customer focused businesses, if you're selling on the shop floor, then there's a different kind of aggression, different kind of attitude you have towards things, where you have to sell so much in a particular day. You have to sell a certain listing of garments, volume or whatever, crores of garments. Um, so the business also shapes people.
So, Chairman Gurukul is a cool idea.
Who?
Gurukul, school. So that's a great idea. I think, we are able to mentor the leaders according to our need and that ownership and all. I think otherwise, creating so many people, identifying so many new resources, new places, new people, new mentalities, very difficult. It's a cool idea. Thank you so much.
Um, you have just spoken about India, and the possibilities that are there in India, endless possibilities. So we are seeing global turbulence, we are seeing rising protectionism, and in all, oh, we are seeing global turbulence, rising protectionism, and you have described India as a durable constant. And you have held this view not just out of sentiment, but deep conviction. What is that? What is behind that conviction? What do you see as India going forward?
So, like I was telling you, everyone knows this. We're the fastest large economy in the world in terms of our growth. 7-8% for 20 years is huge. In terms of, we have a huge internal market. 80% of our GDP is constituted of internally generated consumption or manufacturing. We have a stable government with strong regulators. We have a workforce, a billion people in the workforce in the next few years. That's huge. And these are people who, I mean, the bulk of them, I'd say, are very bright. I think that the intellectual capability of an average Indian student is far brighter than that of kids overseas. I wouldn't say that in my group this thing, but I think that that is the true because of the rigor. That is true because of the rigor that they go through. I think all of these factors combined, we've got great political leadership. All these factors combined make us a force to reckon with, not just globally, but also as a place to do business in. So why would you then, as an Indian business house or an Indian businessman, not take advantage of that?
Absolutely.
What is the biggest people challenge in the Indian corporate you see, like presently, with so many things happening across? We are right now competing with the Western world. Now, everything is best practices, whether we talk of tech, we talk of the people. And today, whatever we are building today in our country, your company and other companies, that we are all talking world class. So, what is the real challenge do you see in the people today?
I don't know about what other people are facing, but I think our biggest challenge is that our goal has been that for any position that comes up, as at a senior level, we should have three people who are competing for it internally. So you're growing that much of talent. But we have grown much faster than what we had anticipated. So for one important role or one senior role, maybe we have not enough talent. And therefore, we're having to look outside to get in senior people. It's called lateral recruiting. But I'm finding it very difficult to get people to run businesses or a part of the business of our scale and complexity, who I can get from outside and transport. So someone would have done at least, should have done at least, 60% of a role that's as complex, as large. If you don't find that, then that's a problem because then you're having to take a bet on people who are far less experienced. So I think growing talent fast enough to fill roles that come up within the company is, as of today, our biggest challenge.
Wonderful.
Today, there are various factors that are beyond our control. The T factor being one of them, tariffs and global order seems to be changing. The geopolitical marketplace is now driven less by multilateral frameworks and more by bargaining or strategic bargaining. In this entire scenario, you just said that you invested $5 billion in Alabama. The risk that is now commensurate with international business, do you believe that that requires a higher return for you to take such decisions?
Absolutely. I was saying earlier that, it's not a it's not a rules-based order anymore now. It's a deals-based order. So internationally. So your traditional trade blocks don't exist anymore. Your energy partners might be very different from your technology partners. These are one-on-one relationships. It's not like it used to be in the past, where there were set, like I was saying, blocks of countries that normally come together or partner together. So in this kind of deals-based order, uh, the uncertainty of doing business obviously becomes much more. Uh, like I was saying, if in the last 3 months gold has seen its highest peak, uh, the favorite of the market in India, look at our Indian IT companies, they've lopped off their market cap by 30%, 40%. I don't understand why, because I don't know the sector, but I think the impact of AI will take a little longer, and I think that this kind of reaction is perhaps extreme. But to have 40% of your market cap gone in 3 months, it's a huge thing. I don't think it would have happened earlier, and that's happened with software companies globally. So I think, yes, unless you have a compelling reason to grow internationally, and one of that has to be returns much higher than in the past, I think that it's a good time to focus on India.
Wonderful. So the last question. So with so much incredible experience, building from X to 100X, what is the say for the young generation, the leaders, the youth who wants to become big, who wants to do something different? So what is your say or message to them?
I think it's important to follow your passion and to be consistent. So not let uh, you know hurdles sidetrack you, and to stay in there and do consistently what you set out to do. As simple as that.
Thank you. So we can throw the question.
Fireside.
Okay. So
Thank you. Thank you.
I think personally, I would like to share this. My say, I'd been sharing in the lounge also. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'd been dealing in metals, power, and meeting so many big conglomerates because, and I see a different attitude, your humbleness, your positive thinking, no controversy, So it really inspires me a lot. So thank you so much. And it is really great, and it is an opportunity, the value, what you shared with the ICC, something which is, we all will never forget. So now it's a very smooth thing, though it is rapid fire, but I would say it is rapid fire cool. So we have, yeah, so we understand that, in last so many years, you lost temper only 18 times. What is the 19th time which you were, or, which you did?
So 18 times is at work only, by the way. I excluded outside of work. No, I actually, when you are working with people who are very committed, very smart, then you don't need to lose it. To me, losing your temper is a little being out of control, which I don't like. No, I may have happened once or twice more. I don't remember, but it's not my way of working.
So your grandfather kept only 5 kurtas. What is the one thing in your wardrobe you refuse to throw away?
My two or three of my favorite watches. I'm very fond of watches.
Okay. More intense, the cement war with the rivals or the paints war for the market share? What is your passion?
It's not a passion. Both have to be done and done really hard.
Okay, okay, nice.
Both teams are committed to it. They're like, dragging after fire every day. So it's nothing to do with my passion.
It's a good answer. So one acquisition you didn't make that you still think about 2 a.m. At 2 a.m.
No, I don't think of any. 2 a.m.
2 a.m. in the morning. लगता है ना कि like if I would have done that would have been better, you know, some.
Lost opportunity, there have been a few, but it's part of the game.
Not,
I've never lost sleep because of work, by the way,
no, I agree.
because I don't think it's worth it. Because we have so many people, such large teams, I'm in constant touch, everyone's working so hard. So you can't play God after that. After that, you've got to see what happens and, face what comes. I'm not willing to give up my good night's sleep or my health because of work or for anything other than when there's, let's say, a family member is not well, then I would be very worried more than I need to be. But at work, when you're doing everything, you're doing your best, you're putting your heart and soul into it, then you have to, there are so many other factors. Then you have to face things. And so, yeah, that's been my thinking.
Wonderful. So if you have 1 hour in a day and you have just one choice, you know, whether you have to spend your time in the meeting or Bits Pilani or any of the cultural center, what would be your choice?
Meeting I do all the time. I think Bits Pilani is something that gives me a lot of satisfaction. One of our, one of my vice chancellors is here. How are you, Professor? It constantly challenges me. I think that what my family has created, my great grandfather, my grand uncle after that, is a great institution, and we are growing it rapidly because our rate of acceptance is only less than 2%. So there are so many children who want to study at BITS but are not able to. We've grown. We've opened 3 new schools in the last 3 years: design school, law school, and MBA, and they've all taken off much faster than I had thought. We also have problems that need my attention and that can be quite painful, but need me to be with the team and to try and find solutions. So all in all, I think an hour of bits is something that I would choose.
Wonderful. London or Mumbai?
Uh, work perspective, Mumbai. Quality of life, I mean, forget what's happened now with taxes and all of that, London.
So you mean both?
I mean, yeah, some aspects of both.
Excel sheet or gut feeling?
Excel sheet or
Gut feeling.
gun wheeling. Not so consistent, but Excel sheet so you have to do all the time. I think going to the shooting range and shooting is exhilarating. It just takes your mind. That time you can't think about numbers and market share and all of that. So you're just focused on that one target.
Now this is a very crisp question. CEO call or a wife call? Who gets answer first? The CEO call or the wife call? Who get the answer first?
Honest answer, CEO first.
No. Thank you so much. I think
It's okay. My wife knows that, so she's made peace with it many years ago.
So this will really help.
Children call would be before the CEO.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of us here would agree.
No,
It
this
resonates with
statement really means a lot all for us. So real boss at home.
that. I mean, I know you think I'd say my wife is my boss, but she's not. We are our own bosses. In the sense, I think each of us does things. We have a lot of common ground, but I don't think that she can make me do something or I can make her do something that she doesn't like. For example, she's in Patagonia for a trek. There's no chance in hell that I'm going to go and go there, right? I'm very much into education. It's something that thrills me. It excites her, but not in the way that it does me. So there's no chance it's not fair for me to expect that she'll spend as much time or aspire to be a good education, whatever, administrator. So I think that each one needs their own space, and everyone's growth trajectory is different. So I'd say I'm my own boss, and that's how it should be, I think.
We will also try to copyright.
So problem bhi hoti hai, but it's all right.
Now we can manage.
So, one global business leader who you would like to have dinner with.
I would like to.
Have dinner with.
So, I had great admiration for Jack Welch, who was the CEO of GE for many years. I had great admiration for him. In fact, some of our construct of our business is a little bit like he had constructed GE. I tried to meet him, but I couldn't. I would have loved to meet him because he was a very inspiring leader, and what he did really created very big impact.
Okay, what is the one thing you look first, first thing you look in the morning, whether it's newspapers or emails?
No one reads newspapers now. And
Emails.
no, super I don't do. So.
Okay, one thing that instantly raises your blood pressure. I know you're very balanced, but is there something that infuriates you?
Yeah, I think if there's, for example, if someone in the family is not well or someone's having anything that's family related would make me worried.
But work side, nothing.
No, not happened in 30 years. I had a CBI case against me for which I had to go, and I'm sharing this in a closed door where I had to go and sit and answer questions before an officer, right from what is your name to what does your family do, why is this comment there on performance appraisal, आपने क्यों लिखा excellent for corporate affairs, how much money did you make, 80 crores or 70 crores, you might as well tell me. That got my pressure really high. That also upset my children very much. But other than those freaky things, there's nothing work related really.
Is it tough to get approvals from you, or is it quick?
No, I think everyone understands the way that approvals come from me. Everyone has clarity. So if we are sticking to that, then we're quite quick.
Speed over perfection or perfection over speed?
No speed, no perfection.
One
Perfection can kill you actually.
One decision you still don't personally delegate. One decision that you like to still keep with yourself.
Maybe the choice of my CEO.
Netflix or books?
Netflix.
How far ahead, this is the last question, is your calendar planned? Is it days, weeks, months?
A couple of months, because there's lots happening that I can't plan for. And then if you commit too much in advance, then, becomes embarrassing to change. Also, I think my time management skills are quite poor. Everyone knows that in the office, so they put up with it, but I'd keep trying.
I think we should open it up.
I think the question
is Kumarji, your journey of 30 years I have been watching very carefully and highly impressed, incredible. I really salute for that.
Thank you.
I'm 70 plus and I've been working very hard since last 52 years, 53 years, and would like to work till I live. This is what my philosophy is. I know your past family philosophy was the same. I try to put it to my son-in-law who is in Bombay. He's a lawyer, Hargreave. And because of his family, I couldn't get the right answer. He was very diplomatic. And I couldn't understand. When can I retire? He didn't answer anything. He was very diplomatic about it. I know your family. I would like to know your views, whether one should retire at any point of time, and he wants to keep working, he should keep working.
I don't plan to ever retire, so I don't think, everyone to their own, but I don't think if something that's passion, you feel passionate about, enjoy like I do, I don't know what to do other than my work, to be really honest. It's not like I have some other skill or other great skill or talent. So I'm pretty much going to be working till as long as I can.
Good evening, sir. This is Shubhankar Sen. I'm the MD of Senco Gold Limited. We are from the jewelry industry, and I must compliment you, sir, for setting new benchmarks in our industry. And we're really, on behalf of members of ICC, very grateful that you're spending time from your precious, the busy schedule that you have. Sir, one thing in the conversation that we would like to hear is your views on technology, AI, automation, robotics. No, we know that as a country, we are, as you mentioned about the way the software companies have been doing, the way US is thinking about, China is thinking about rare earth, minerals and all of that. So as businesses, what should we think about our business, and on as far as your business is concerned, what are your perspectives on it? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So I think AI is the biggest game changer that we would see in our lifetimes. And I don't even know, at least I don't think I know the entire extent of impact that AI can have. If you see over the last couple of even days, I'm going back to the markets, not that I'm a markets person, but just in terms of impact. One day you had real estate or real estate advisory, whatever you call it, gone, financial services gone. So AI has a new kind of target or victim every day. I think AI is going to change our world. I feel concerned. I think that for newcomers, especially say from the age of 25 to 30, I think their jobs, whatever they're doing, will be in trouble for them. And they, fresh out of college, let's say an analyst in a bank or a merchant banking firm, PE firm, PEs take so many of them. I think their job at that, where some, let's say, analysts, they're called analysts in most firms, their job won't exist anymore. And so on and so forth in so many different industries. So I think there is a lot of reskilling that's going to be required, not just in India, everywhere in the world. And I think as organizations, companies corporates are today one of the most important citizens of society, not just in India, but anywhere in the world. And I think that we have a responsibility, at least for our own people, to help them to reskill and create new opportunities for them. But I think the biggest thing that worries me, that kind of makes me really think, is that our young people, they will find that their jobs are really under threat. I mean, a junior lawyer today, everything that he does in his job, AI can do better, do much faster, for no fault of his. You want to know about past precedents in terms of judgment, AI will 5 मिनट में सब बता देगा आपको कौन सा judgment, कौन से साल में, interpretation also. So they're not just getting data, they're also interpreting data. So these jobs will be under pressure, and I think that that's something that will create some amount of disturbance for us that we need to contribute towards.
Good evening, Mr. Birla. This was definitely a very candid session. I want to ask a question, is reflecting on your father, the late Shri Aditya Birla. What were the profound principles or teachings he imparted that continue to guide you in your business and personal life? Thank you.
So I think the one thing that he taught me that I have always stayed with me is that you don't take shortcuts, either at work or in life. Go through the long mile, go through what it takes, go through the ups and downs, that's what is sustainable. I think that is something that has stayed with me, personally and professionally.
So it's a great honor to hear you live. Yeah. So we growing up, we have heard the.
Can't see you actually.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay.
So growing up, we have heard the Birla name beyond businesses through temples, universities, and hospitals, and which has helped in uplifting our communities we live in. So I want to know that what has inspired your family to play a pivotal role in nation building in the true sense, and how do you see this responsibility personally today?
So I think it's because this principle of trusteeship that I was talking to you about. My great grandfather was a close associate of Mahatma Gandhi, and I think this is where the socio-economic concept बोल सकते हैं for trusteeship of giving back to society in a constructive way. That's the ethos I would think behind the family's culture of giving back. I don't think it's a response. I mean, if you don't want to do it, don't do it kind of thing. But being in a family that does that, you would want to do that. It's a very important part of our family's ethos or culture, whatever you put it, in whatever way, small or big.
Good evening, sir. So it was a pleasure to hear you tonight. Sir, you just briefly mentioned that you have 20,000 employees working with you for the last 20 years.
2000.
2,000, sorry. What is that brings that sense of brand loyalty towards the organization that people have stayed with you for such a prolonged time? And I can say that with experience because my grandfather spent 40 years working for the Aditya Birla Group in Malaysia. So he lived by it and he started his career with Aditya Birla Group and retired from Aditya Birla Group and he was there for 40 years. So I would like, as young entrepreneurs, we face the biggest challenge of retaining young talent into the organization. What would you suggest should be done to retain great talent for such a prolonged period of time?
So I can't answer that, but I'll tell you what keeps people with us. One is that we have great respect for people, whatever the situation. You could make the biggest error, but we'll still respect you as much. Secondly, we'll continuously invest in growing you value, at least professionally. I do that also. We all go through that. And the third is that it gives you a very wide canvas. You could be taking decisions of involving thousands of crores pretty independently. So I think it's the ability to make impact, the fact that you're respected, and the fact that your growth is something that we are very invested in along with you. I think these are the factors that keep people with us.
Thank you.
I think we are running late. I'm sure.
No, please go ahead.
Okay.
प्रणाम कुमार बाबू, मैं विनोद अग्रवाल, मैं भी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हूँ। आपके लिए 2 लाइन कहना चाहता हूँ। मुस्कुराती रहे सदा आपकी आंखें, इनका जादू कभी कम ना होने पाए। आप सलामत रहे क़यामत तक, खुदा करे क़यामत कभी होने ना पाए। You live long.
Thank you so much.
मेरा क्वेश्चन यही है कि आप इस एज में भी इतने फिट हैं, स्मार्ट हैं, इसका क्या सिंपल मंत्र है, वो ज़्यादा शेयर करें। How you look so smart, so dashing, like a film actor.
I think fitness is very important. Usme to we must invest, and as you grow older, then I think the time I invest is more than I used to. I think I'm, touch wood, the fittest I've ever been in my life. I'm fitter than I was at 20, 25.
Thank you. We would now invite the YLF chairs to present the Uttariyo bouquet. I think we had a tremendous session. They are both joint chairs of YLF, that is Young Leaders Forum of Indian Chamber of Commerce. And I'll request Mr. Agarwal to kindly present small token to our chief guest. And maybe this can be opened and presented. This can be opened, please. This is our respect to our founding president, Shri G.D. Birla ji, and it's an honor to present to Shri K.M. Birla ji. Truly an honor. I think these 90 minutes sound like, I don't think anybody is spending 1 year at any Ivy League business college will learn so much what we all have learned here. Please sit, sir. Please sit. Just a minute. With this, I invite Sanoli for vote of thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Young Leaders Forum, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, sir, for gracing us here with your presence today. Sir, your insights on industry, leadership, and the evolving business landscape have been truly inspiring and valuable for all of us here. The clarity, depth, and vision with which you shared your experiences have been of tremendous value for all of us. We are truly grateful that you took out time from your busy schedule to interact with our members here today. I would also like to acknowledge and thank our industry partners and all our guests present in here today for their time and their continued support. We look forward, sir, to welcoming you again in future sometime soon. Thank you once again, sir.
I think that this session deserves a standing ovation.
Invite them for the photos. May I quickly invite the YLF past chairs to join for a photo op, and the committee. Quickly, please. ICC will come next. Yeah. ICC committee will be the next group. Risha and Bharat to also please join on the stage. I think Mr. Birla can sit and everybody can stand at the back. The young leaders having the opportunity of having a photograph with Honorable Shri Kumar Mangalam Birla ji.